Hello, welcome to another episode of CripChat. I am your host, with one of them, Jonathan Shaw. With me is Tim Lockton, EBD, and David Daywood. Hello, how is everyone?
I'm
Today,
good, Jonathan.
Jonathan,
Um,
we're good. I'm good, thank God. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm good.
yeah, thanks for having us on the show once again, Jonathan. And I'm feeling pretty good. Hope everything's well with everyone.
So, what is tonight's topic?
I believe tonight's topic is how to find good support workers and how to keep them. So
Yeah.
that's an area I don't have too much knowledge in, but maybe you guys might be able to shed more light on it.
So, David,
Yes.
how do you find your support workers?
Well, you can get them through the sort of through the actual through trial and error. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think trial and
Well, I
error.
guess it depends on the way you manage your NDIS. Now, for a person that's I managed, the organization, I think they'll bring a support worker. Um, and if you like them, if you enjoy their services, just talk it out with the company, and
Yeah.
yeah, you have them as your support
You can have.
support worker.
They're having companies. Yeah, but a lot of the times you can tell them who you want, but you might not find the right person for you.
Yeah.
And if it's self-managed, you can find someone that
Now, see, with self managing, you get more flexibility because you're uh, you can choose the support worker that's right for you.
yeah,
You can choose the support worker that you like without having to go through the company, and you pay him based on your rights. And
yeah, that's a easy thing. Just if you got a
Five.
friend and someone that you know that's close to you, or someone a friend's friend that you can get them to be your support worker, and if you're self-managed, you pay them through NDIS.
but the thing with the being being self-managed and getting a support worker is that you can do it through different ways. You
Yeah,
can actually do it through the company, in which you negotiate with the company, and they do all the superannuation, they do all the the, the payment stuff for
yeah,
the person. But then you, as a I guess self manager, you have the power to pay the employees superannuation, pay the employees leave.
yeah.
So it depends on how you decide to go ahead with it. But I guess you have your own, I guess,
Some
control and decision.
Yeah, you got it under control, but also when you're thinking about superannuation, thinking about this and that, some people don't like the
Yeah,
headaches.
yeah. I know. I think it's better if you go to the organization and yeah, whichever I guess support worker you enjoy or you have like trust with, yeah, negotiate with the organization. Yeah, yeah, and they'll I guess support you and you paying based on the hours they support you.
You're dropping out, maybe.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Yep. So yeah, it's I guess it's all of it depends on you because within your yes, you
It's
have the
it's
control. You have the I guess you can make the
it's
decision.
it's
And
trial
so
and error.
choosing
Is that
the
also?
right support worker yeah, is entirely up to you. If you feel comfortable, if you trust the support worker, then negotiate with the organization in which you're there from.
Yeah. It's
All right, so I see Jaden's just joined us. Hi, Jaden.
Hey.
So just to bring you up to speed, our topic for tonight is, I guess, how do you find a good support worker and how do you go about keeping them? I don't really have experience in that area, so that's why I've invited you along and maybe you can share your insight. So for you, how do you go about finding a good support worker?
Yeah, so where are we up to?
We were just asking the question, how do you find a good support worker and how do you keep them?
I haven't actually done this. I think in my circumstances it wouldn't work, but I would potentially look into getting somebody self-employed because the issues that I do find with companies is that there is a lot of red tape, especially under the NDIS, whether it be pricing, whether it be rules, whether it be pays and stuff like that. I've got a really good relationship with my support workers, and I get told information that I normally wouldn't be privy to. Um, so I do know of issues with companies, where they're being underpaid, they're not being paid on time, or they're working overtime and they're not getting what they're rightfully entitled to, i.e., overtime. Um, yeah, so I feel like to get a good support worker and treat them right, the only way to possibly do that, if you could, is do it self-employed.
Yeah, and how do you go about finding someone who's the right fit? Like, for instance, you worked with the company. Did you find it was trial and error? Did you get to meet someone beforehand and decide if they'd be your support worker?
I find that it's trial and error. Like most of the time, you'll get it off the bat, straight off the bat. Um,
No, that's good. That's good they do right now. But the thing about choosing
um,
someone that's
but
self-employed, sorry, the thing
I do
about
I
getting
do I
someone
do find
self-employed,
I do find
yep,
that the some of the companies are hiring support workers that aren't really qualified or have the means to be working within this industry. Like
yep,
I've had a 68-year-old support worker come in to do our personal care as a couple of once-off shifts, and she was struggling to move my partner physically. This is a 60-year-old woman who struggles to walk herself, and yeah, she just struggled to do personal care, and everything took so long to accomplish and achieve. So I think, somebody fit,
You need to support
smart,
her.
and somebody that can connect with you on a personal level, that's a good fit in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
thank you for your contribution. I know your time's a bit short because you've got some Zoom meetings, so you're welcome to pop out whenever
No,
you need.
I'll stay. I've cancelled all those Zoom meetings.
All right. Well, if you want to take it as an excuse to do so, then be my guest.
And
But
look,
yeah,
I agree.
you go ahead, Abby.
The thing about self-employed, sorry. The thing about getting someone that's self-employed is that you need to be self-managing. You need to have be self-managing your NDIS because I don't
No,
think
not to not
obviously
no, no not to hire yourself. You don't need to be self-managed.
You don't
I
Some
have to
know.
plan
be
man
self-managed, but you
some
have to
plan
have.
managers some plan managers will pay them. Will pay the support workers.
Yeah, and yeah, sorry, my mistake. And some plan managers, but I don't think it works with the NDI managed NDIS.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah,
it'd be
I'm
difficult if you're NDIS managed.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. All good, all good. Sorry for the confusion.
I
It's all
was
good.
plan managed, and I sent it through them, and they paid them.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you also have that good plan manager as well. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, having that relationship with the plan manager as well as the support workers. Yeah, you get the best service.
It's it's always good to find a support worker that's got very similar interests as you,
Exactly, exactly.
because you want to do things
And like,
that they enjoy also, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
that's
will
right.
join you, and you'll probably be more entertained seeing them getting entertained, and they're happy with their work. You want a plan
Exactly.
manager that's looking forward to coming to see you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what do people think of platforms like Hire Up or Maybe or other options? What's been your good experiences? What's been your bad experiences?
Well, personally, I haven't used Hire Up or Maple for my services, but from what I hear is that it is flexible in allowing you to advertise when you need the services and people that get in contact with you. Um, yeah, that's what I've heard. But I think David, you have some experience in using a camera.
I beg your pardon, I can't hear you.
I said, you have some experience in using Hire.
Higher up? Not really,
Yes?
no. No, I haven't
No?
tried higher up.
Okay, okay. Sorry, sorry.
I've
Yeah,
used I've signed up to Mabel, but I haven't used it. That's about the extent that I've
Me
done with those two
too.
platforms.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And how's that working out for you?
He
Yeah?
just signed up. He hasn't. He said he's just signed up, but he hasn't used them.
Yeah, I know. But, well, yeah. So, will you give it a go? And I think we're working out. Anyways, Look,
I've heard
it depends
of
on.
people. I've heard of people using higher up, and it's cheaper for them because it goes straight through their NDIS
Yeah, yeah.
instead of their pockets only. So they get reimbursed it, or they probably pay through their pockets, and they get reimbursed it through NDIS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I guess with these service providers, I guess being I guess plan manager and self manager gives you the flexibility to choose when you want, what you want, and when you want it. Um, it's all about doing your research. I have interviews with different people and see, yeah, what characteristics they have, whether they have the
Also,
same interest
also,
as you.
also their personality.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to
Make
get
sure,
along
yeah,
with their
that you feel
personality.
comfortable with them. Yeah.
And see
Yeah, I
if
see
they've got
here
a
we've
similar
just got
skill
a
set.
comment from Melissa on Facebook. She says she's a support worker and she thinks it's really important to show people's interests, or like have the client's interest in their preferences, so that way you get on better with each other. But also having a support worker who treats you as a human, have someone who
Yes.
treats you equally, make sure that's an important part of finding the right person for you.
That's exactly
No, I
that's
couldn't
exactly
agree.
right. Yeah, I agree with what Tim said.
Yeah, I could not agree more.
Same here.
You wanna have that relationship with your support worker.
Yeah.
You wanna
And
feel
that's the issue.
comfortable
That's
with
an
them.
issue that I is as well. Is that most of the time you're treated as a number.
You want you
Yeah,
want you, you want a person that
even
actually
sorry,
looks
the
forward to
support
come and
worker.
see.
Yeah, you feel they're only there for the payment. They're only there to get paid, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good feeling. They gotta have the passion. They gotta want to be there with you, rather than be there because it's part of their work.
That's exactly
Also,
right. That's exactly right.
You want someone that wants to take it not as a job, but as the daily chore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another comment Melissa's made. She says she gets an understanding of people's likes and dislikes when she supports them over a period of time. And I think that's something, an exercise you could do if you're getting a new support worker and you want to find out if they're the right fit for you. Maybe write down a list of all the things that, your likes and dislikes and how you want to be cared for or treated, really. And then if the person
Exactly.
agrees with
Yeah.
that, then that's good. And if they don't agree with that, well, to get rid of them, look for someone else.
Exactly.
also, another aspect to this is to assess the person's motivation for caring for you. If they just treat it like any other job just for a salary, they're not going to emotionally invest in providing you high quality support. But if they're there with the primary intent of enhancing your life, then you have the potential to build a relationship which can last for years.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Correct. You gotta make sure someone is in your interest and is there for you, and they're gonna enjoy it, and they're gonna do their best
Exactly. The support
without
worker
being
is there just
without
to
being
provide the
dry.
support. Yeah, and you're right, David, you're right. And the support worker is only there to provide the support. But I guess it's all about the client. The client is the one that makes the decision. The client is the one that has the power to make the decision.
Yeah, and just keeping
Yeah,
up with the comments on Facebook, Melissa has a similar standpoint. She says the participant should 100% be in control of what happens during the survey.
See,
That's exactly right.
yeah,
But in
that's right.
situations where you've got support workers that you don't really like, or the company is providing substandard support workers, I don't know how you would go about, you know, making sure you get what you deserve and what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And the client themselves, they have a right to complain if they do not like the service that is being provided.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So no one should hold back.
you want to
You're
choose
uncomfortable
someone
with
that's
someone,
actually
complain.
happy to be with your carer, not one that's obliged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. That's
Here's,
right.
Because you get 110% away. Not
Yep.
here's, here's the thing. Why the NDIS has been around for a few years now. Sometimes you get older support workers who are used to operating with block funding, so they do treat you as a person who has choice. They treat you as a client who's tied to them. We need to, as participants, outline that support workers are supporting us because we want them to, not because we're tied to them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point.
I couldn't agree more.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you do encounter a support worker who doesn't treat you well, what are some of your recommendations on how to go about making a complaint then? Does anyone have
Well,
any thoughts?
first of all, I would talk to the service coordinator.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work out, write a complaint to the organization. It may get resolved at that stage, but now under the NDIS, if you're a participant, you can go to the Quality and Safeguards Commission, and there are also various ombudsman and agencies in your various states or territories.
Yep. Yeah. Can I agree?
Yeah. I feel like with the
Yeah.
NDIS, I just thought I'd jump in and just talk for a second. I feel like with the NDIS, and I'm not 100% sure if any of you feel the same way, but I feel like with the NDIS, we don't actually have choice and control, especially with some of the service agreements that we sign. It doesn't leave us with much choice and control, with like having to give um, like 60% of our fees or 50% of our fees or whatever it is, if we cancel late. And their definition of late is like less than 2 days notice. And I feel like that really needs to be looked at or changed, especially if we're sick or we can't make an appointment for some unforeseen reason. Like, how can we give 2 days notice if I don't know if I'm going to come down with the flu, 2 days prior to? And another issue that I find is the TTP. The TTP is a massive thing for me, and I feel like it is double dipping. And honestly, if the NDIS service providers are charging the NDIS price guide max, then they should not be allowed to charge the TTP.
Just for those who don't know, what is the TTP?
Yeah.
TTP
So,
stands
yeah,
for
but
Temporary Transformation Payment.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
It's essentially a payment to help services transfer over from DSQ over to the NDIS system. From what I gather.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot. It's essentially we're paying extra money for nothing. Like, it's nothing. It goes in the company's back pocket, and I have yet to receive a service agreement with TTP in it, because we are actually allowed to refuse to pay TTP. We don't have to pay it. We have to come to a mutual agreement, the participant and the service provider. We have to come to a mutual agreement to say, yes, I agree, Jaden Rufus, to pay TTP. You don't have to agree. And I would never agree to pay it, because as far as I'm concerned, service providers get enough money from participants. If anything, they get more than enough.
Yeah, that's a fair point to raise, that there's hidden fees involved, and to be aware of that, and that you do have choice in whether you should pay that or not. I'm of the view as well that they have more than enough money from the clients they take in to cover that cost of transferring systems, and it shouldn't be the job of the participant to make up for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't like and my partner has the same view as me. See, I wouldn't mind paying extra if the money that I was paying went directly to the support worker. I disagree with the fact that like the money's going into the CEO's back pocket or into the company's pocket for like functions or holidays or for the company. Like I believe that that money should be going to the support worker, the person that's in the field doing the dirty work, not the people that are writing desks. Especially
And
especially with the company that I'm with, the service coordinators that organize our supports, they're bloody shocking. They they can't organize supports properly. They're relying on the support workers to organize their reliefs. And it's like we're paying you, the support coordinator in the company, like the service coordinator, to organize their backups or organize their time off. Yet essentially they're having to message people in the group chats and be like, oh, can you cover this? Can you cover this? And it's like, no, they're not paid for that.
Yeah,
and
it's important because it comes full circle back to the how do you select the best care for yourself, and it seems
Exactly.
you should probably stay away from them if you want to find a good match.
Well, see, like this company that I'm with now has provided us with like a few good support workers, but like at the risk of sounding racist, there are a few international support workers that we've got and that I've had in the past that I struggle understanding. I mean, with my disability, I'm intellectually impaired. So somebody that's speaking a different language and that's trying to speak English, I struggle understanding them. So for me, with a support worker that is Australian, um, it takes twice as long to communicate something like, can you put that plate in the sink? Can you wipe down the counter and put my shoes on? Or can you
I
pass me
think
that
to sum up your
face
point,
washer?
I think to sum up your point, Jaden, it's not like a racist thing. It's more of the company hasn't, I guess, made sure these people have a communication ability that's suitable for
Exactly.
some people
That's
who
exactly
may
that's
need.
exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
exactly
not the
right.
fault of the people who get employed. Like
Yeah,
they're just trying to make a living. It's not their fault whether they have an accent or not. But for
exactly.
companies
Yeah.
to, I guess, send people out in the field and make sure they're not
I
supported.
I can sympathize with you, Jason, as someone who has a speech disorder on one hand, but the normal intellect on the other hand. Sometimes, and again, this is not to be racist, but sometimes when you get kids with English as a second language, it can get quite frustrating.
That's exactly right, Jonathan. That is exactly right. Like with my partner is a hoist transfer. So having an international, we'll call them international support workers because I don't want to come off racist. Having an international support worker, it takes twice as long to do a hoist transfer because everything has got to be dumbed down. And you've got to like constantly repeat yourself and repeat yourself and repeat yourself. And my partner, she's the most calmed and understanding person. Like she's polite, she's calm and collected, but when she snaps, like that's saying something. Like when she snaps, like she gets frustrated, like that's saying something. Like because she can take a lot. Like she puts up with me, so having a support worker of an international variety, it does take a lot. Like it takes a lot. It takes a toll on us, more so her than me. But
Yeah,
the other
from
issue
what
is
I gather, the companies, when they hire people who come from other countries, they don't so much check if their, I guess, quality of care ability is similar. Because
exactly,
if you
and
have
another
someone,
issue
yeah,
that
if you
is
have someone
exactly
from the
right.
Philippines, their, I guess, standard that they get taught to be how to be a carer or support worker in that country is different from the Australian standard. So there's a
Yeah,
bit of a issue with that. And when these workers come over and work for an Australian company, the Australian companies just assume there's competence there already, and they send them out in the field, and they have never worked with a hoist before. They know how to lift people physically. So
that's
yeah,
exactly
they
right.
need to
Yeah.
do better in training people
I think
before
they
they.
need to do. I think they need to do better in like all aspects. I mean, even like document checking, and driver's license checking. When I say document, I mean driver's licenses, because I found that the company that we're hired through, one of our support workers of international descent, doesn't actually have an Australian driver's license, and she's been here for over a year. And we've looked into the laws of Queensland, and apparently you're only allowed to drive an international license for 6 months. And if you don't swap over your license in that 6 months, you're forced to go onto your P's. I don't know if it's your green or your reds, but you're forced to go onto your P's. Now, this becomes an issue because we have a support worker driven vehicle, and we're with Blue Badge Insurance. And I'm unsure if our insurance will cover the car if this support worker crashes it and they're found to be at fault. So that's another issue that I'm yet to negotiate with the company and discuss, because it's put me in a shitty position that now I've got to talk to the company and be like, hey, this support worker hasn't got an Australian driver's license. It's going to void our insurance. You either need to pull her off and find somebody else, or you need to help her get her driver's license, because we can't have her driving our vehicle. And this support worker is trained perfectly in how to uh, handle our care needs. So finding somebody else and swapping her out will take a tremendous toll on me and my partner.
Yeah, exactly. It's come back to the full circle of the benefits you get if you're choosing your own care, perhaps through like a service or
That's exactly
friends and
right.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been going for about 38 minutes now. Is there any other points we wanted to make before we wrap this up?
Guys, a general observation I've made from the conversation is because regulations in different states or territories instead of artwork that can negate choice and control, because say I'm in New South Wales, but I want to go traveling into state to South Australia. How can I be assured the same vigor and standard is being upheld by provided in respective states. So my point is more reform needs to happen to make it one seamless national system.
Yeah. No, yeah. Look, I guess it's all about building the trust. Yeah, once you build that trust, then I guess they'll be comfortable in I guess using you when they go like overseas or when they perform their services, and it'll be very good for both ends, both you and as well as the support worker. And yeah, so good. I'm just very conscious of the time. So we'll just wrap it up. Any last words of
Okay.
advice? Any last words of advice?
Stay true to yourselves and keep fighting for what you think is right. Don't let anyone take advantage of you. That's the only advice I've got.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good
Yeah, I
advice. I'll
think
go with that.
building that trust, you gotta build the trust. Once that trust is
Exactly.
built, you have that healthy relationship with your support workers.
That's exactly right.
So good.
My only piece of advice is, don't feel obligated. If someone is doing something wrong, it is your responsibility to speak up either to the support worker, the company, or even I know it's a headache, but the regulator, because if we don't, we will know who's doing a good job and who's doing a bad job. And we need that to maintain a good workforce.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I
So,
guess this is it.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You've been watching CripChat, your weekly podcast on everything disability. Join us next week for more CripChat.
Thank you
Bye
guys.
bye. Have a
Thank you very much.
good
Bye
week.
everyone.
For listening.
Yeah,
See
thanks
you
for
later.
listening. Bye.
I hope you got something from today's session.
Yeah, my sentiments
Bye.
exactly.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me, guys. I'll talk to you later.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks
No,
for
it's
coming.
later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye to all.